Sometimes it's more about the journey than the destination, and that's certainly true with Sky Children of Light. Because unlike a lot of other MMOs, this isn't going to be about gathering with your friends to defeat the BBEG and hope you get some good loot. Instead, you float from island to island, exploring what each area has to offer, interacting with spirits, recovering your lost memories, and strengthening your wings while existing within the world. So it's pretty safe to say that this isn't the typical MMO, and it doesn't present as such. Most of the time, I find that MMOs present themselves as very video gamey. They're not too immersive, and you know you're playing a game, but that's totally okay, because there's a giant boss over there and you need to learn its mechanics and get along with your friends while doing so. I mean, sure, you might hate them for a couple days, but hopefully you're still friends by the end of things, and after you do, everyone moves on to learning the next big boss. Repeat, do more content, maybe grind out in the open world. There's usually a lot of grinding in MMOs, and that's not really the case with Sky. Because Sky's more about existing within an atmospheric environment, much like this studio's other game, Journey. You'll complete a few small puzzles, you'll spend some time following different spirits, and you'll also interact with the various creatures within the world. Each zone feels notably different. The tutorial took place in a desert wasteland, and then you enter this nice, lush, grassy valley, or grassy clouds in the sky valley. There's kind of a weird floating island vibe going on that's also surprisingly grounded once you get into other areas of the game. So don't be surprised if you're spending most of your time just flying between locations. And those flight controls do take a little bit of time to get the hang of. When I was flying at first, I kind of just held down the button to go in the direction I wanted to, only to realize that's the worst way to fly, and instead realized I just wanted to tap the joystick and make small adjustments as I went. And yes, I would advise playing this game on controller, since it seems to be made for Switch first, or maybe touchscreens, and then put it over to PC later. When I tried keyboard and mouse controls, it was definitely a little janky, but on controller it feels really, really good. This being an MMO, you're not alone in the world. You can't really talk to other players the way you would in a normal game. However, you can interact with them, and you can even make friendships, which I'd assume would persist and matter later. Because this is a first impression video and I only played for about 2 hours, I don't really know how the friendships lasted. But if you want to know my thoughts on a wide variety of games, either from first impressions or deeper reviews, then do be sure to get subscribed, and who knows, maybe I'll come back to Sky later after it officially releases. As you progress through the world, you'll be continually reminded of the temple. Within each temple resides an elder. The temple is also where you'll find the spirits you freed throughout the zone. Meeting up with them gives you a series of rewards. So if you want a place where you can log in and exist in a beautiful and atmospheric world, that's Sky. But if you're looking for a more standard MMO, then I think something like Palia might be a better choice, or if you want something more combat focused, consider World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy XIV, Guild Wars 2, one of the big well-known ones that you've probably already played. And if you still can't pick, maybe check out Josh Strife Hayes' Worst MMO Ever series. Throughout the 2 hours I played, I spent a lot of time getting sidetracked. In the first zone, it was beautiful. The sun was shining, it was lush. There are these somewhat weird but oddly mesmerizing floating manta ray creatures. Not quite sure how to describe them, but they were genuinely charming. And so I spent a lot of time not just going through the goal and getting to the temple by unlocking the creatures, but also freeing other spirits and doing what I would consider to be side content. Although with the way Sky presents itself, I don't know that it's side content, because you're not really supposed to be grinding out the goal, or at least that's not the impression that I've gotten so far. Instead, you're supposed to meander your way through the game, do a lot of exploration, and unlock spirit gates by interacting with and saving the spirits. You spend some time reliving their memories, living in their shoes so to speak, and afterwards, you get a small reward once you reach the temple's elder. Each temple has its own really cool and customized cutscene, and then you move on to the next zone, which I did. The second zone was very different from the first. It was in a gigantic forest, with each area segmented off by a gate. The first area felt open, expansive, and welcoming. The second felt darker, more closed off, and almost hostile, especially because it was raining, and the rain is not good. You're a creature of fire. You carry the light within you, and that means you shouldn't be getting it wet. So by standing in the rain, my health was slowly eroded. So I had to rely on interactables throughout the zone to progress through. I could stand under cover to prevent the rain from falling on me. I could interact with mushrooms and other things, burning them away and gaining some of my health back. or I could light a torch and stand next to it to rekindle my health as well. This health meter is also the flight meter, and when using the flight meter, you're able to traverse far more easily. And this led to some interesting gameplay decisions, where I was choosing between if I want to progress through the zone faster, potentially burning more of my life force as I did, or if I wanted to go slow and steady and not worry about it. I kind of took a mix of both, going for faster in some places and slower in others. Then I reached the temple and unlocked the next zone. I'm sure I could have gotten there much faster if I rushed, but that just didn't feel like it was in the spirit of the game. And there's certainly a good bit of content to the demo. I'll probably be continuing for a couple more hours after this. It's the sort of title where you can stop at pretty much any moment, take a screenshot, and use it as your background. But it also felt a little bit odd that it was an MMO. Because the whole point of Journey, what made the game so alluring, was the idea of being alone with a friend. And while I was still getting some of those alone with a friend vibes, seeing random players running around was also slightly odd. That brings up one other major complaint that I had. On controller, if you hit up on the right thumbstick, you got a little bit of an overlay that showed you all the controller's keybinds. The problem here is that the control scheme was constantly popping up while I was playing, which was not only slightly annoying, but definitely immersion breaking and quite unfortunate. So hopefully that will be changed to a different button or a different bind for the final version of the game. But now I'm curious, could you see yourself existing within Sky's world? Or when you're playing an MMO, do you want goals to grind for or something else that feels a little bit more active? Be sure to let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And if you're looking for my thoughts on other games, well, I recently talked about a bullet heaven game, RTS game, Satisfactory-like game, and even a deck builder roguelike. Links to all of those will be up in the card and down in the description below. Now, before I go, a special thanks to my patrons and channel members for the continued support. And a big extra thanks to my $5 a month or greater supporters, whose names you'll see on screen right now. But with that said, thanks for watching, I hope you found this interesting, and I'll see you again sometime soon.